Hello, everyone, and welcome! Today, we're diving into a concept that's literally all around us and, more importantly, inside us, but we hardly ever give it a second thought. We're talking about Akasha, the element of space, or ether from Ayurvedic philosophy. It's the silent, invisible stage for our entire existence. So, before we jump into the ancient texts, I want to ask you something. Just think about your own body for a second. Your lungs filling with air, your stomach, that whole network of veins and arteries. What's the real importance of all that empty space? Well, as we're about to find out, it's not empty at all. In fact, it might just be the key to, well, everything. All right, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start by nailing down what Akasha even is and what its unique qualities are. Then we'll make it personal. We'll see how it actually works inside our own bodies and, what happens when things go wrong. And finally, we'll talk about how we can connect with this deep inner space. Okay, first things first, what in the world is Akasha? Let's get right to its core identity according to the sources. At its heart, the definition is so simple and elegant. Akasha is the fundamental substance whose special, defining quality is sound, or shabda. It's considered to be a single thing. It's everywhere, all-pervading, and it's eternal. Just try to wrap your head around that. It's the very medium that allows sound to exist in the first place. Now, this idea was so big that different philosophical schools actually debated where it came from. The Upanishads said it comes directly from pure consciousness, from the self. Ayurveda connects it to the subtle potential of sound itself. But then the Vaisheshika school came along and argued that it's so fundamental it's just eternal, no beginning, no end. What this really shows us is that Akasha wasn't some minor idea. It was a rich, complex concept at the very heart of ancient thought. So since sound is Akasha's signature trait, you better believe the text got specific about it. They talk about two kinds. First, there's dwanyatmaka, that's unexpressed sound. Think of the deep boom of a drum or the clap of thunder. And then you've got varnatmaka, which is expressed, structured sound, like the very words I'm speaking to you right now. Both types need Akasha as their vehicle to travel. Okay, so we know what it is, but what's it like? If Akasha had a personality, what would it be? Let's get into its specific characteristics, or gunas. These qualities really start to paint a picture, don't they? Akasha is described as soft, light, and subtle, so fine you can barely perceive it. It's smooth and porous, which just means it's filled with these tiny, tiny spaces. And this is really important. It's considered sattva bahula, which means it's dominated by the qualities of purity, of clarity, and consciousness itself. But of all its qualities, this one is probably the most important. You could call it Akasha's superpower, apratigata. It means non-resistance or non-obstruction. Think about it. Earth, water, fire, air, they can all be blocked or contained. But Akasha, it's the universal space that lets everything else exist and move without getting in the way. It is the ultimate enabler. Okay, this is where it all gets super practical. How does this abstract idea of this eternal, non-obstructing space actually show up and do its job inside of us? And here are its three main jobs in the body. First, it literally creates space. Every single cavity, every channel, every tiny pore in your body, that's Akasha at work. Second, all that space is what enables growth. A fetus can only grow and develop because Akasha provides the room for it to expand. And third, it allows for movement. It provides the clear pathways for everything from air and nutrients to nerve signals to travel. No space, no movement. It's that simple. And you don't have to take my word for it. This ancient quote from the Charaka Samhita just nails it. It basically says that the srotis, or the body's channels, are what transport all the tissues as they're being transformed. And the very existence of those channels, the space inside them, is all thanks to Akasha. Without that space, nothing gets delivered anywhere. So where can we find it? The better question is, where can't we? It's in all the channels, all the openings in your body, your nose, your mouth, and, of course, your ears, the sensory organ designed specifically to perceive sound. But it's also in the subtle, porous spaces inside our bones, and it makes up the entire hollow tube of our digestive tract, what's called the Great Channel. So, as you can probably guess, if something this fundamental gets knocked out of balance, there are going to be consequences. Let's take a look at how an imbalance of the space element can actually show up as disease. An imbalance here can go one of two ways. First, you can have rotha, which is obstruction. Space gets blocked up. That can lead to things like bloating and abdominal distension, or even asthma where the pathways are constricted. But then you have the opposite problem, vriddhi, or an excess of space. This is where those qualities of being light and porous go into overdrive, causing things like bone degeneration, making them too porous, or even tinnitus, that phantom sound happening in the empty space of your ear. So, as we start to wrap this up, let's bring all these incredible ideas together and really think about what this means for our own awareness of our own inner space. So, let's quickly recap the most important points. Akasha is not just empty nothingness. Its very essence is sound. It's the active force that carves out all the space inside of us, making growth and movement even possible. And, as we just saw, keeping that space in balance is absolutely fundamental to our health. And that brings us to our final thought for today. Since sound is the defining quality of Akasha, and Akasha is the very space within you, are you really listening to the sounds of your own body? The gurgles, the heartbeat, the rhythm of your breath. These aren't just random noises. They're messages from your inner space, telling you a story. What is yours telling you right now?